How are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I think.
You think?
I think. I think I'm all right. Oof. Dude, not having Tuesday actually really threw me off guard a bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. Like I'm a little bit just off, totally off guard, off pace.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, whenever I disrupt my routine in any way, like, it takes me a few weeks to get adjusted.
Yeah, man. I'm not adjusted. It's made me lazier instead of more productive.
Yeah, dude, that's so weird. Like, when you have no time, you find time. But when you have a lot of time, it's like, it just doesn't come together, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Valentine's Day, I made a happy Valentine's Day, by the way, but also made a song for my girlfriend because I'm broke and I have no money. So I had to go back to like high school days, when you kind of just put shit together. Like you put together like a mixtape or, you pick some flowers on the way to your girl's house or some shit.
Yeah.
That's the type of shit I was I was I was happening on Valentine's Day.
Right.
Yep. Um, how was your holiday?
I didn't do shit.
No,
Uh,
no. Hey, Jake. Hey, Jake, if you can you check us out on Twitch? It'll help us kind of raise the numbers over there. Because we want to get as much traffic on there as possible. It would help us out a lot. Sorry, continue.
yeah, I didn't do much. I got no lady in my life.
Good for you,
Unfortunately.
man. Save some money, save some effort.
Yeah. I suppose. That's the weird thing about relationships, right? Like, when you're in one, you're like, God damn it, why did I think this was a good idea? At least when I'm single. And then, like, after you're single, you're like, fuck, this is
You
horrible.
get
Why did I
lonely.
break up with her?
You get lonely. Man, if you had a lot more money, I wonder how lonely you would get because you could kind of just like invite
Yeah.
gold diggers or prostitutes over. I don't know. Probably be
Yeah.
cheaper than having a girlfriend.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, no problem, Jake. I'm seeing it. I'm just glad that YouTube chat works now. uh, yeah, man. It's expensive having a girlfriend. Aside from everything, it's just like the expectations, especially when you live with one. So, I have to maintain this lifestyle that we both mutually want, but like I would probably opt in for something different sooner on my own.
Yeah, I would say your girlfriend is expensive, for sure.
Dude,
uh,
Jet's gonna be a little bit late tonight. He's got a wake to go to. I don't know who died. Uh, but he's gonna be a little bit late. But he's coming.
okay.
Rest assured. I'm just trying to look at what's going on in BitTube. Um, Man, so I didn't really include this in my topics today, but have you heard of a cryptocurrency called Tezos?
No.
So it's developed by an ex-employee of Morgan Stanley, and it's had a bunch of drama. They had some founder drama, but it's basically supposed to compete with Ethereum. And their whole selling point is that it's the only cryptocurrency you'll ever need because you can't update these other cryptocurrencies, whereas with this one, you can amend it. You can amend a lot of different parts of the protocol. And yeah, the SOS, you need to fix the times on your stream. It still says Tuesdays. Yeah, I will. No problem. That became official today. Um, I got to fix it more than just on YouTube. It's got to be fixed across everything, which is a pain in my butt. It's hard to transfer information across all these platforms. You know what I'm saying? It's actually kind of time consuming.
Yeah.
It's not, but anyways, yeah. So Tezos, right? So they use this thing called proof of stake, right? So basically, everybody who mines has to throw up a certain amount of money in collateral, right? A certain amount of Tezos. And then for that, you process these transactions like mining, and then you get rewarded a transaction fee. There's this whole governance to it. I think my problem with it is that it can be amended. If you can amend the protocol and change supply and change all that stuff, it puts the power into the people who are staking in it, right? The stakeholders, which is no different than our current system where you have like, you know, a select few who own the majority of wealth and control markets, and, you know, can control the supply of the currency. It's just removed from the government and put into the hands of like, I don't even know who. You know, people like to think that Bitcoin is decentralized. Well, it's not. You think you can afford to mine Bitcoin? You can't, not anymore, because you need to buy ASICs, which is a specialized processing chip that will accelerate, that will compete competitively against the other miners so that you get rewarded. In that sense, only the rich people who can afford to do it or start it early, who have been accumulating, and people like Fidelity, who has grown a cryptocurrency mining operation and is continuing to expand on it, those people are now going to be, and they're a financial institution, they are now going to be owning a mining operation, right? And they have been doing it for a while, so it's really not that decentralized. The main point is that, you know, you don't have to trust it. It removes a lot of the manpower, and you don't have to trust the bank or Fidelity to, you know, facilitate this transaction or keep your funds. Your funds are still yours. That's the main difference. But as far as the network goes, only the rich are getting richer. Anyways, I digress. Small tidbit for you, Mr. Lux, even though I know you don't really follow it as much, as something that's been on my mind lately. It's just I feel like we've lost focus a lot on the fundamentals of, you know, why people started loving Bitcoin, and I just don't want people to get the illusion that they are getting this like dream of freedom when they're only getting a fraction of it, and some of it is at risk of being controlled by somebody else in the same way that it's controlled by our banks now and our government.
Sounds like it removes the whole selling point.
Yeah. Of course, you got other cryptocurrencies that are different, and there'll be room for all of it, I think. But, you know, let's not fool ourselves, people.
Right.
Let's not fool ourselves in thinking that it's all cryptocurrency is for the people. Okay. Speaking of crypto, I guess I'll just kind of lead with that. This is kind of older news. I got quite a bit. If you play Fortnite, you may have to pay a tax on your virtual currency according to the IRS guidelines on V-Bucks. Now, I don't play Fortnite very much, and I just finished my taxes. Thank God I'm getting a fucking decent return, but after I filled out that I took unemployment, they knocked down my return in half, literally in half, which is bullshit. So it's not like I'm paying the income tax. It's more than just the income tax. And what doesn't make sense to me is like I'm already paying taxes for it. Paying taxes for it. Why are you removing it from my return? I I
It's
don't,
brutal.
I don't, and get this, I claimed my benefits on a VPN, okay,
Uh-huh.
because I left it on, and it caused all sorts of problems with them. They came back to me. They said, we're going to freeze all of your payments, and if you want them reactivated, you've got to provide us your phone records, your bank statements for the date that you tried to claim on your VPN, the name of your VPN provider, your credit card statements, and pictures of each page of your passport.
I thought this happened for your what do you call it? The Jesus Christ, unemployment as well.
Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. That I realized that I told you that last week, but like offline. I finally got it fixed, but like, listen, the site that they asked me to upload all this stuff is not secure, and my phone is a prepaid phone. I don't have phone records. My bank statement has no local transactions because I don't use a debit card. I use a credit card. It was just utter chaos. I had to literally call them and stay on the phone with them for almost an entire day to get this fixed, and it's finally fixed. So
Yeah, this shit's a joke, man. I mean, and like it blows me away when people talk about, like, I mean, just to tie all of that back to political stuff, like when people talk about wanting the government to run more programs or do more things, it's like, are you serious? Look at what they're doing now. They can't even handle the basics that they're doing now.
Dude,
it's just riddled with incompetency. And I mean, especially when it comes to tech-related stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an absolute joke. Like, these guys don't know shit. I mean, like,
so I was watching this ad, this Bernie Sanders ad for what was it, healthcare, and one of the benefits they were talking about was saving on paper, and I don't exactly know how that really works. And how that relates to free healthcare and Medicare for all or whatever. And the student loan debt, man, where's all that money gonna fucking come from? Like, if I didn't go to college and I didn't save money, right? But like, I benefited from not having to go into debt, and I was lucky. But
which is why you should have to pay for my debt.
No. That's what I'm talking about, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, that's what I'm talking about, dude. Ooh, dude, it's so upsetting. And listen, beyond me, okay? I'm going to be pissed about it, right? But let me put this into context a little bit differently. Let's say that, like, I had a daughter, right? Or son or whatever. And I said, I'm going to save up all my money so that my kid could go to college, right? My grandma did this. She saved up a bunch of money for me. Granted, like, my family spent my money against my grandma's wishes and against my wishes, so I never saw a dime of that money. But my grandma worked really hard. If I had his daughter or son and I worked really hard and saved a bunch of money so that they don't have to take a loan out and go into debt after college,
look,
for people to turn around and be like, hey, you got to pay taxes for everybody else's, so I'm being punished for doing like the smart thing for my family.
Look, that's an argument, and it's somewhat legitimate, but you have to realize that this is a problem, and we have to find some sort of solution to it. And so if that solution is going to include any sort of payments or debt relief for people who did go to college, that's going to be a disadvantage for a lot of people who didn't pay all their debts off. But the same happened when we had Medicaid, stuff like that came out for the first time, or Social Security, What about when Social Security first started and you had all these retired people who, close to the end of their life going, what the fuck? I had to take care of myself through all these years, and now these lazy fucks are going to get Social Security. This is bullshit. So
Yeah,
there's
no, I mean,
always...
I thought Social Security was bullshit as well, and I still think that it's bullshit that I have to pay Social Security. I don't even want it.
Right.
I don't want it.
Right. So you kind of have to evaluate the problem outside of that argument is the point I guess I'm trying to make. Because if there is merit to paying off student debt with tax dollars, then we should do it, regardless of how other people are going to feel about it. It's going to suck for some people. It's not going to suck for other people. There's going to be winners and losers no matter what we do. So you have to just sort of divest that piece from the argument, I think, and evaluate it purely on the merits.
I'd like to gather some more data, but I'm willing to bet that people who end up going to like high tier schools and end up spending a lot of money get paid reasonably well. For example, my girlfriend's one of them, right? She complains about her student debt all the time, and I don't think she's a Bernie supporter, right? But she told me one day, if she stripped away all the other stuff, you know what I mean? What does she really want? I mean, she wants her student loans to be forgiven, right? Yeah, Jake, there is a notification in chat, and I think in my videos, but I don't know. Not really needing. I don't really want to bother a bunch of people. I know I have a post. Yeah, I got a post. It doesn't add everyone, but that's okay. But I hear you. I might start. We'll see. And that's great. But she makes more than enough money to survive. More than enough money. She's, you know what I mean, to cover her debt and live comfortably.
Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people too. I went to a top tier university, and it's no doubt helped my income, but the reality is, for most people, that's not the case. Most people got a college degree, and it didn't pay off in terms of what they paid
is
for.
that true? Is it because they chose, they got a degree in something that's bullshit? Or
yes, they got a degree in something that was bullshit.
So that's nobody's fault but theirs.
And the price of college, well, yes and no. It's partly society's fault.
Right, because we're telling people to make this decision before they've even had barely an experience, real world experience in life in general.
You're making these decisions. Most people are making these decisions before they're even adults.
Right.
So that's a problem. Two, the price of college has skyrocketed since like the 80s and 90s, like over 300% or something like that. So it's not keeping pace with inflation, and there's a lot of research that shows it's not keeping pace with the value. Like, it's increasing in price ridiculous amounts, and it's decreasing in value. So it's, it doesn't make any sense. So there's a big problem there that needs to be solved as well, which is sort of separate from the debt issue. But the debt issue has gotten to a point where it could potentially negatively impact the economy, and now it becomes a problem for all of us. And so this is exactly what happened in 2007, 2008. A bunch of idiots bought houses, and we got fucked because of it. Houses they couldn't afford, and we got fucked because of it. A bunch of assholes on Wall Street did some shit that they shouldn't have done, and we had to bail these people out, and we had to do it because it was the smartest choice. And I think we're in a slightly different situation, but it's starting to appear very similar, and we gotta start thinking about it more seriously. And it's not just about the debt; it's also about the value of the degree. We need to stop saying things like, "You need a college degree to be like an administrative assistant or something like that." Like, I started my career as an admin, and there was I'd see a lot of job posts saying you need a bachelor's degree to be an admin, and it's like, no, you don't, dude.
That's silly goose. That's Mickey Mouse shit.
And they make pretty They make pretty solid money. There's a lot of Mickey Mouse bullshit like that, where companies are using a bachelor's degree to weed people out. Is basically what it is, and we need to stop that.
Yeah. Well, I personally just don't feel like this is the answer, and also I think that Bernie's case is the answer. I think there's a couple things we could do. I don't want to spend the entire time talking about it, but listen, I am paying for your student loan. I am paying for my girlfriend's student loan.
Well, you're definitely paying for your girlfriend's student loan. What?
Oh yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Whether it be taxes or not.
You're right. No, you're totally right, because I fucking have to pay more in rent, even though I don't have a fucking job right now, because she has to pay student loan fucking debt. That's bullshit. That's why I should be single. There's nothing. Actually, it has not. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the whole student loan situation. I just need to like cut off leeches. Yeah. Fucking.
Hookers and blow, man.
Hookers and blow. Damn. All right. This will be fun. I know we dove right into this. I'm gonna just totally skip the taxes on this.
No, this was crazy. I saw this. Sorry, we kind of diverted off of this topic a little bit.
What, the deep fakes of Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland?
No, sorry. I was talking about the Fortnite thing still. It's pretty fucking insane that they're thinking of doing that.
I actually don't know how V-Bucks work. Do you? Maybe Jake knows.
From what I understand, it's just digital currency for Fortnite. Like, how the fuck are you going to try and tax digital currencies? There's all kinds of video games that have digital currencies. Like, what are you going to start doing? Like, I mean, it was long before Fortnite. I think the big one was WoW. WoW was a place, like, you had people buying and selling and, like, real marketplaces.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, is if you're buying and selling, that should fall under a tax.
I suppose. I don't know. It's hard to.
I mean, because then what's the distinction between digital virtual currencies and cryptocurrencies?
I suppose you're right. It just feels weird.
Oh, so $10 legitimately equals 1,000 V-Bucks. So if that's the case, if it's backed by the dollar in some way, or if it's worth dollars, it probably should be taxed.
I mean,
but let me get this clear. I don't believe in taxing any of this shit. But I mean, from the logic standpoint,
I don't know if that means that it's worth $10 or if they charge $10 for it. Those are two different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, if they're charging $10 for it, they use those V-Bucks to buy cosmetics in Game Shop. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, still, I mean, there's hundreds of cryptocurrencies that you pay like $10 and you get like X amount in crypto, and then the only thing you could really buy with it, I guess the main difference is that you can then turn around and trade it for another crypto and then convert it back into USD.
Well, yeah, I don't know. All of it sounds ridiculous.
I'm not a big fan of taxing any of this stuff anyways. It's just I can't. I'm so upset. I'm sorry. It all makes me want to puke, and
I'm gonna get hit. I'm gonna get hit this year by taxes too.
I mean, did you not do your taxes already?
One of my W-2s is taking fucking forever to get here, so I'm kind of late. I'm pretty pissed off about it. I usually try to knock it out in January just to get it get it in, and then you get your check fast. And it's just nice to get a nice little chunk of change. Last year I got a nice amount of money. Year before that as well. But yeah, this year I was on unemployment for 6 full months, so I'm gonna get hit again for sure.
Oh my god. shit. That sucks so bad.
It does.
Ugh. It makes me want to puke. Anyways, let's go into something lighter.
Yeah.
There's this like deep fake of Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Holland in Back to the Future, and it looks amazing. Like somebody made this. I'm gonna pause this music and we'll just play it together real quick. Have you seen this yet?
No, I haven't. I saw another one recently with Keanu Reeves in Office Space.
Bro, send that over. But in the meantime, let's.
Oh, it's right there. It's right there. To the right.
Is it?
To the right. Look.
Oh, I can't. I don't know what just happened. My screen.
Sorry, the feed I'm looking at is probably behind.
Yeah.
You literally just had it in one of the ads. You literally just had it in one of the ads.
Something literally just happened to my thing really quick. I don't know, like everything just turned black. I had it in one of the ads. Oh, okay. I'll play that in a minute. Well, let's watch this real quick. Why has my entire screen gone black?
Yeah, that's weird. Is it because you're trying to play the video?
I think so.
How's your head?
Good. Fine.
Oh, I've been so worried about you ever
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, there it is, right there. See? That's it.
Yeah, I see it. I just can't. I can't play this goddamn video because for whatever reason it's not. All right, well we're just gonna have to do it on YouTube if it'll work. It works on YouTube's. I think I need to restart my computer.
How's your head?
Good. Fine.
Oh, I've been so worried about you ever since you ran off the other night.
I love this movie. It's my favorite movie, dude. One of my favorite ones. Dude, Tom Holland would play a great Marty. He looks like...
For sure.
Robert Downey Jr. even looks like Doc, dude. It's fucking nuts, dude.
This is more serious than I thought. Apparently your mother's amorously infatuated with you instead of your father.
Tom Holland and Marty, like, what's the original actor's name?
For me? Precisely.
There's
that word again. Heavy.
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
They look kind of similar. They look so alike that it's like hard to tell.
Yeah. I think Tom just has like maybe a little smaller mouth.
Sort of social. Well, what, you mean like a date?
Robert Downey Jr. actually does kind of look like Doc.
They're your parents.
Like he could play it.
What are their common interests? What do they like to do together? Nothing.
Insane. That's insane. Let's see if
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, man. It's uncanny. I would see a Tom Holland, like a reboot of Back to the Future and
Reboot, yeah, for sure.
with Tom Holland. That would definitely be.
This one is pretty good because he takes the blue pill, and then he ends up in Office Space. It's pretty fucking hilarious.
This is your
Fuck.
last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Keanu looking good. Forget how great he looked.
Remember,
They're
all I'm offering
shooting
is
number 4 right now in San Francisco.
I know. We talked about that, I think, last week. You've seen him around, right?
I haven't seen him personally, but they're like putting up all these.
He took the motherfucking blue pill. He said, "Fuck you. I'm staying in the Matrix."
It's hilarious, man. A friend of mine at work has a buddy who was at the gym, and he has a gym near a hotel or something, and apparently that's the hotel that Keanu's staying at. So he did a set. He worked in a set with Keanu Reeves.
That's great. I would kill for that. Office Space.
Yeah, we don't have to watch the whole thing.
No, I mean I
it's
want to
pretty
see
funny.
it. I don't see the. I don't see. This guy don't look like Keanu.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with deepfakes. Like if you notice it, I don't think this one is as good as the one you showed. But
I think I'm kind of seeing it. Yeah.
yeah, because his
Well, you
face.
know, his face is a little different. Yeah.
Yeah, and he
bone
looks
structure.
so alike. Their skin tone, like everything, is just perfect. He looks so alike that other guy. That other guy just has a slightly rounder face.
Yep. Oh my God, I'm having some difficulty. Holy cow. Something's going on with my computer. What is this? Identity politics. This is your article here.
Yeah, this was weird, man. I know not a lot of the people who watch this are too into it when we get deep into the politics stuff, but this is kind of a deep dive into politics. But so identity politics is essentially like, constructing our political systems and philosophies around, quote unquote identities. So whether that be a racial identity, gender identities, sexual orientation, those kinds of things. So this identity politics are the people who think racism is everywhere. They think, misogyny is everywhere. Women are oppressed. Black people are oppressed, like all this stuff, right? And so there's been a lot of backlash, I think, to identity politics in the last few years. I mean, a lot of people claim that Donald Trump is president because of this stuff. People were just sick of it. And it's gotten arguably worse since he's become president. And this article was just interesting because they're like, not the slightest bit of like self-awareness. They're just so embracing it. And they're not only are they saying like, not only is it not a problem, but we need to do it even more, and it's like, whoa, it's just kind of creepy and weird. Like if you follow,
interesting. So you read this and you were like, I can't believe this is an article, let alone an article by in Vox.
Right. I mean, Vox is definitely widely known to be left leaning for sure. There's no doubt about it. But
like you're saying that this is pretty extreme.
Yeah, like it's going even further. Like to say like, I mean, in this day and age, to say that women are oppressed is just, I mean, it's a little ridiculous. Like it's completely lacking in any nuance. I mean, it isn't to say something like women don't face, unique challenges that men don't face. That's certainly true. But to say that they're oppressed and being held down by men is just, I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and I think often it's forgotten that we all face certain challenges. Being if you're a man or if you're a woman, you face different challenges, but you both face challenges that the other doesn't, and you have advantages and disadvantages. I feel like we went backwards to be if I really think about it, right? So when I was younger, there was this big move for like everybody's equal, everybody's inclusive, right? The 90s kind of kickstarted that. You saw like ads where like they included everybody, and like growing up, it really felt like it. And I also think the area in which we grew up in is unique in that it was very diverse for a long time. But in general, it was never really an issue. And then I feel that at some point we kind of pivoted and went backwards into claiming an identity of some sort and a cause, and participating in an us versus them battle.
Yeah, it's gotten crazy. It's
I mean, am I
clearly,
crazy to think that we went backwards in some way?
yeah, 100%. I think we've gone backwards 100%. And I think it really comes down to, honestly, I think part of this ties into the conversation we are having earlier about education in universities. I think the problem is you have created a bunch of people who now have degrees in things like gender studies and, feminist theory and like all this weird shit that you can't do anything with. And so they either teach at universities this same material,
Or they raise funding for these movements and live off of that for a
exactly.
while.
Exactly. They go
That's
work at
like the
these
equivalent of
nonprofit-
a cult.
It's exactly what it is. It's very cult-like. It's very and the more we solve these problems, the more these people try to hang on to them, because without these problems, they become useless. Like they can't make money anymore. They don't have a value to society, and so they're incentivized to keep it going, like to keep these issues alive. And so I think they just keep trying to play a shell game with society and like try and trick you into thinking that these things are still an issue, when in reality we've moved largely past a lot of this stuff. I think honestly the last true civil rights issue that falls under identity politics was gay marriage, but gay marriage has been legal for several years now, and it needs this other shit is made up. It's completely made up.
Well, so I was also reading this, not the New York Post, because the New York Post, by the way, guys, is a tabloid. But this...
Well, I don't know if I'd go so far as to call it a tabloid, but it's very conservative.
It's not to be trusted at all. But this article I did see in a few places. Apparently, they threw a fashion show and some fashion students threw a fashion show and took in these models, and they told them to wear these like big ears and big lips things. And somebody, this woman decided not to do it because it was clearly racist, according to this article and many articles. I mean, I guess if they're trying to make them look like monkeys, was that the deal?
I don't know what they're trying to do, but I mean, I don't see how that's supposed to make them look like black people.
Yeah. Like I looked at this one and I was like, that could easily be like one of my Filipino grandpas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's weird.
I don't know. I can kind of see maybe what she's saying, but at the same time, I'm just like, I just don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
A tendency to like be blowing shit out of proportion.
For sure. This
is kind of random. I came across this article about a 1947 Boeing 377 Stratocruiser. It was the largest aircraft at the time, and it's just massive, and it just makes me think of like how cool it would have been to be alive at those times and have some money to do this, right? But I also got to remember that this plane was probably loud as fuck, because I don't think it was pressurized. But I mean, look, this they have like full-on beds, right? Full-on bar lounge, which we kind of have now, but not exactly like this, right? And then you had the spiral staircase. You had really cute stewardess or whatever. It's just massive, man. And like in the front of the plane, they had a full-on like office desk area. They had bars and kind of like hotel hostel type places. If you don't know, the airlines make very little off of economy sold seating. The majority of their profits come from first class passengers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's, you know, when you factor in the cost of, you know, maintaining the airline and maintaining, you know, gas and all that stuff, they actually lose money on offering more economy seating. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I personally, I think that there's something wrong with the business model. There's clearly something wrong with the business model.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know enough about it to say what exactly is wrong or provide any suggestions for improvement, but it's gotten out of hand. It's gotten out of control, and we've had
it has been
fucked out multiple times now, right? I mean, it's just it's fucking stupid.
Speaking of race, you can now, and this has nothing to do with race. I got this advertisement, right, and it says you can now get recommendations based on your DNA, right? And I always thought this was pretty cool, because I think that some people are probably geared towards more meat diets and more, you know, vegan or vegetarian diets than others, and it makes sense to me because people grew up in different regions. You know, people evolved from different regions. It's like the same reason why, you know, like white people turn into shrimps or lobsters during the summer, and Spanish people tan, get that nice caramel skin going during the summer. But yeah, it's an interesting take. You know, I wonder. I haven't looked too much into it.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. It seems little excessive.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, for sure.
But
and I feel like you should be able to do that through a nutritionist or doctor.
If you got your DNA tested for another reason, then yeah, why not get some diet recommendations? That would be kind of cool.
I feel like this should be coming from a doctor, right? Like you should be able to do this through a doctor instead of a privatized company, but whatever. Who is a Linus? What are we talking about here?
You are.
Oh goodness. All right. Well, hopefully I have 1 million views. This shit gave me nightmares, man. So this artist created these. I think this ties into what we were talking about earlier.
Oh God.
These are flesh suits. They were designed as like kind of like an art piece to combat like the ideal body type. And I don't know, man. Listen, I don't want to see this shit. This shit is a nightmare, dude. And of course, she could be like, hey, you know, body type doesn't matter because she's a petite little blonde. Super cute.
This is another one that is just fucking annoying as shit. Like body type bullshit. It's like, dude, get the fuck over it, all right? Like, just get off of your ass and go exercise. Like, this body shaming crap is fucking ridiculous. I mean, you know, yeah, it sucks. It's unfortunate. Deal with it. I mean, life doesn't just fucking get to be whatever the way you want it to be. Like,
bro, yeah, and flesh suits. This is taking it to another level. Like I have nightmares when I look at this shit, man. I can't. I gotta navigate away. I gotta navigate away. That's gonna kill me. But yes, since we're on being, since we're just ranting and being pissed off about this, Jordan Peterson's prescription drug dependency issues.
I don't know if we've talked about Jordan Peterson. Are you familiar with
who is this character?
You don't know who Jordan Peterson is?
I probably do, but don't remember the name.
Oh man, he is awesome. Like honestly, dude, you ought to really look at this
don't
guy.
know. He's a psychologist.
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you the backstory.
Canadian.
let me try and give you the 2-minute backstory on this guy. Basically, he got big sort of in a scandal in Canada. He spoke out against some bill that was mandating all federal employees use any person's gender pronouns, and that if you don't, you can get fined for it or some shit. So he spoke out against this, not because he's against transgender people, but he's against the government enforcing speech. And so he kind of got infamous from this. He slowly started getting more exposure because of this, and then people started paying attention to him for his actual ideas. And so he's written several books. One of his books, called 12 Rules for Life, got really popular with people, and it's sort of it's a self-help book, like self-improvement, self-analysis type of book, but it's really just basic advice, like, you know, something like each chapter is like a different rule. One of the rules, for instance, is make your bed.
You told me about this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily mean literally make your bed. What he's saying, it's a metaphor, and what he's saying is, you know, don't go out into the world and try and change the world or fix the world. Worry about yourself. Fix your own life first. And if you're having problems in your own life, don't be afraid to be humble. Like, start with small problems and go down to the weeds, and you can work on smallest problem possible in your life, like something as insignificant as making your bed.
Small wins, man. Small wins.
Exactly. And so he's gotten really, really popular. He's amazing. I'll send you a link to there's one, he's been on Rogan a handful of times, but there's one in particular that's really, really good that you should definitely listen to start to finish. Like, it's incredibly inspiring, incredibly powerful. Anyways, this guy has been a part of this movement, called, it's commonly referred to as the IDW, and he's like one of the champions, definitely one of the biggest leaders. Rogan is another one. Eric Weinstein, Brett Weinstein, a lot of these folks out here who are sort of talking against that sort of identity politics group of people that we were talking about earlier in the episode. Anyways, so he's kind of a controversial figure, more of a self-help guru. He's a fucking awesome guy. He's had, incredible success over the last few years, gotten very popular amongst a certain crowd. Anyways, his wife was battling cancer. During this time, he was really deeply depressed. He went on benzos, and and then his wife beat the cancer. So his wife's healthy now. Cancer's in remission. He's gotten to a better place with his own mental health, and that's me. Am I Linus? This is Lux. Oh no, I thought Twashi was Linus. I was talking mad shit about you too. Anyways, so his wife gets cancer. He starts going on benzos. He gets better. He's trying to get off benzos, and he's been having a tough time with it. So he came out like a couple of months ago saying he's addicted to benzos. He's going into rehab, and all these people started shitting on him. Like the political left, the radical left, these identity politics, these woke people started shitting on him. Like, this guy has been preaching for months about, how to take care of yourself, make your bed, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and it turns out he's a drug addict and he's in rehab.
Nobody's fucking perfect. Also, drugs work differently for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you can't lump everybody in the same bucket. For example, I am a person who will consume alcohol and end up destroying things around me, right? Yeah. And to a much further degree than if you're drinking alcohol. Yeah. It has a very different effect on me. And here's another example. Some people, I've heard some people talk about like acid and shrooms, right? I have a very different experience with acid than a lot of people than I know. I take acid and I want to go party my fucking ass off. Other people take acid and they just want to trip. They want to hallucinate. I barely hallucinate on acid. More so, I just fucking want to party and can drink like a fish.
Yeah.
If anything,
I mean, I'm the same way, and that's when I read this article. I liked it because this article came out in defense of him. It's like, look, he's not an addict. He's not his problems. This doesn't define him. You can still read his ideas and his material and judge him based on those contributions. And the example that they used is like, imagine if a doctor cured, a certain strain of cancer, and then, like, say they cured, prostate cancer, and then they got lung cancer and died from it. Well, it doesn't mean that they aren't an amazing person for having cured prostate cancer, right? Like, that's still an amazing accomplishment. And so that's what this article is kind of saying. It's like, just because this guy's having problems doesn't mean he isn't an accomplished individual. He hasn't done all these amazing things. And I just thought that was cool because, I mean, like, I've had my own issues with, not with alcohol, but crystal meth. And it's like, fuck, dude. I mean, these things can, like, get the best of anybody, but it doesn't mean you are, like, defined by that. You can still make good contributions to the world. You can still...
Totally. I mean, if you take the founder of, one of the founders of AA, right? After he got sober, he spent, many years sober, and then he went and did acid and started talking about the benefits of acid. And this has been like a point that maybe, anti-AA people or some people in AA use it as an excuse to go do other things or whatever. But the fact of the matter is that the principles in the book have, if you can identify with it, have helped thousands, millions of people, despite the fact of him using acid, which, by the way, I firmly believe that if you haven't tried shrooms or acid, and I recommend this to people in AA as well, you should definitely try one at least once, and some E. Either acid or shrooms, or both, and some E. I think it will improve your quality of life.
I would second that.
All right. So, let's where is it going? All right. Today's going to be a little bit longer if you have time, Mr. Lex.
Yeah, I'm down.
I mean, we canceled Tuesday, so we still have a lot to go through.
Let's do it.
Yeah, he's definitely Linus. All right, man. I'm not blonde and scrawny. I guess it must be my voice. I don't know. I'll work on changing that right now. Apple warns of iPhone shortage due to coronavirus. This is going to affect markets for a while. I still have manufacturing problems with a couple of the projects that I'm working on, and I think it is yet to be recognized in the market, and it will be in the upcoming fiscal quarters. This is a good excuse for Apple to lose some iPhone sales and be okay with it. I think the other thing is that this is actually a little bit advantageous for China because they're kind of going to inadvertently hurt our economy without imposing any tariffs or going to war with us on that front. Mm-hmm. It kind of helps them. And then it makes me wonder, I mentioned this as a conspiracy, right? Did the U.S. send it over to affect the Chinese economy? Or now I'm thinking maybe the China did it to themselves to get back at us? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think it's unlikely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how I feel about coronavirus. I've been thinking about it a little bit more.
I keep forgetting to bring up the dashboard. Let me see if I still have it in my queue. Coronavirus. Yep. I still got it. All right, here it is. Total deaths, 2,000. Total recovered, 18,000. And 76,000 confirmed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, man. There's been a confirmed case immediately south of me and immediately north of me.
Yeah, mainland China's numbers skyrocketed in February 13th and 14th. Huh. See, if you look at this bottom graph here, hold on. If you look at this bottom graph here, this yellow line is China, and then on the 13th it just kind of boop, boop, boop.
Yeah.
Whatever, man. So Burger King put out some new ads for moldy burgers.
What?
Talking about how they cut out artificial preservatives. And I haven't seen the ad. I think this is it right here.
Oh, I get it.
What a difference
Like what it looks like
a day
over time.
makes.
I mean, I don't know how this is actually working for them right now, but this is gross as fuck. This like does not make me want to go eat a burger,
What a difference
but it is fun to watch.
a day makes. I know
So
in my
gross.
heart the difference
It is
in
gross.
you.
The beauty of no artificial preservatives. I don't know. I find it really interesting that they would choose to do that, because the reason I even eat Burger King is because the commercials look so goddamn good sometimes. They remind me of how great they are.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Burger King for sure. I'm a fan. Traditionally, I eat too much fast food. I'm not eating
Me
too
too.
much right now.
Me too.
But yeah, it's a problem for me for sure.
Me too.
Although I just discovered that you can order at McDonald's just a patty, just a burger patty, and without any of the other shit, and it's like a quick, easy way to get a fast meal, and it's low carb, no gluten, that kind of thing. So it's a little bit better option.
You know what? Okay, so I think a couple episodes back we were talking about the KFC Colonel. And the
Yes.
KFC Colonel, he started his shit in like the 1930s, and when he sold the business, the recipe changed and the quality of his chicken went down, and he was really upset about it. Same thing happened with like the Papa John's. When he sold it, the quality went down dramatically, and he hates it now. And it's a pattern. Point is Budweiser, Papa John's, KFC. I would love to taste these original recipes and see how what they were.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? You're safe in Canada for life? What does that mean?
No coronavirus in Canada.
Ugh. Oh, can you imagine if the coronavirus hit Canada? Like, if any virus hit Canada on like a widespread, I don't know. Anyways, China expels 3 Wall Street Journal journalists. Excuse me. What's going on here?
Yeah, so China kicked guys out because they were, I guess, writing stuff about the coronavirus thing, and Chinese government didn't like it. They made a complaint to Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal didn't really respond, and so they said, "All right, then get them out of our country." Yeah, but I think this shit is getting ridiculous, man. Everyone, I kind of like the fact that the Wall Street Journal didn't do anything. Everyone's kowtowing to China, and it's just gotten ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I mean, what do you think about this? Like,
Well, if I was a country who introduced a virus into my own country or is spreading rumors about it so that I can manipulate markets, then I wouldn't want journalists in my country.
but like even outside of the coronavirus, just China's ability to influence culture, media, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great for them. I wouldn't necessarily want to live there, but I mean, it's, you know.
I don't know. Personally, I fucking hate it. And I can't
Bro, I don't agree with it at all, but like I think that you know, people, if it was a more of a voluntary thing where like, hey, like I could go to this country for to get this type of politics or that type of politics or, you know, government structure, then I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, we just lost the
video. I know.
I
ran out of battery. I ran out of battery.
You're lying, huh? You just shut it down so you can rub one out. Okay.
Well, I typically do that on screen, you know, while it's on anyway, so that's why it's focused on my keyboard and not like, you can't see me putting my hands down my pants each time. Right. I've done it probably a dozen times on stream.
Yeah. No, this Chinese shit, man, is like, I mean, the Chinese government specifically, it has nothing to do with Chinese people, Chinese culture, or anything like that. Right. It's the Communist Party of the current Chinese government is just absolutely, I think these people are, you know, borderline fucking, these guys are the Soviet Union. You know what I mean? This is Stalin.
I mean, and that's why I could see maybe China introducing the virus or spreading rumors about the virus or fabricating this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's advantageous for them to a degree. They are also burning their supply of money. So let's take a look at like what they've done so far. Since they introduced the virus, right? They shut down some of the manufacturing, which, you know, all these companies that are relying on China to manufacture can't sell more goods. So they slow down our economy. They are also burning their cash as an excuse because of the coronavirus, which decreases their supply, increasing the value of their money, which could be a bad thing for them, but could also be a good thing. It really just depends on what they're trying to play with it. And then they're investing a ton of money in developing their own digital currencies. You know, it ultimately sets them up better for the long run, I think.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that they could swing it that way. And it would make sense, right? So they walked out of negotiations and said, okay, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to retaliate. You know, we're going to sign this phase 1 for all this. We'll let you think that you have everything that you need and that you've won. And we're just going to do this.
Right.
For a while, they were suppressing their currency for a while so that goods became more expensive, which is total manipulation of their government's currency. Yeah, I just wouldn't be surprised, man. Biggest conspiracy ever. speaking of finance, there's been a few recent updates in the cryptoverse. Congress has proposed free small cryptocurrency transactions from taxes, which means if you're under $200, if you spend under $200, you won't have to pay cryptocurrency taxes as we know them today, as them being like your property, and you would have to pay like a say when you sell an asset, you get taxed. It's called capital gains. So anything under $200, which is a great thing, if you want to use cryptocurrency as cash, because that's like the main problem right now. I have a workaround. If I wanted to go full cryptocurrency, I could, and I have a workaround for not paying those capital gains taxes. But this definitely would boost, adoption, because then you wouldn't be paying those taxes every time you try and spend money. And that would also pave the way for Coinbase, and Coinbase being they just got approved as a Visa principal member, so they could ultimately issue cards to third-party vendors.
So this is exactly what I was going to say is, the obvious way to avoid that is to just pay with crypto.
Yeah.
To never sell it, to never convert it.
Right. But there's gonna be, if we're gonna make this transition, there's still gonna be this in between area where we're gonna still have to use fiat for things. It's just a reasonable transition period. Either way, it's just not going to happen overnight. Anyways, that's a big step if it goes anywhere. And this other step with Coinbase being,
how is that? Do you know how that's going to work?
So right now, a lot of these credit cards and debit cards, the way they work is you don't pay with crypto. You exchange it immediately for the fiat amount. So if I go and I buy coffee, $5 coffee, it's going to sell $5 worth. Yep. It's going to sell $5 worth of my crypto. And
well, what if you only have Bitcoin? One Bitcoin is way more than $5.
Yeah, it's going to sell the equivalent of Bitcoin to $5.
So you can sell a fraction of a Bitcoin?
Oh yeah, bro, totally. So, Bitcoin is divisible. There's like 8 digits or whatever. I think technically there's like 18 or whatever. But like, what a lot of people in the cryptocurrency space refer to Bitcoin, they sometimes refer to as Satoshis, and that's anything under 1 Bitcoin. So you can have like 100 Satoshis or 200 Satoshis or 1,000 or 10,000, all the way up to 1,000,000. I think 1,000,000 would then be 1 Bitcoin. But yeah. So what currently happens with these debit cards is they sell the equivalent, and then you get taxed for capital gains tax, which sucks, and it's a tax nightmare. So. Yeah. But the idea that they can issue Visa cards is really big, because now you can start having like derivative companies or C2C companies where they issue cards to a company that is focused on marketing and providing a better cryptocurrency experience. And Coinbase can provide that and regulate that for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I agree with, man. We're starting to see finally some real world applications, I think, for your average.
Yeah. I still don't think the average person is going to get around to it just yet.
I don't think so either, but this is a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah, totally. I'm just going to run through, I'm going to stab out these crypto updates really quick. Craig Wright. We talked about him a little bit. He claims to be the inventor of Bitcoin, and he's being sued, and he's suing other people for telling him that he's a fraud. And basically, he has been trying to patent Bitcoin, or has patented Bitcoin, and is trying to claim rights to the database at this point in time, which is a load of horseshit. But yeah, that's what he's trying to do right now. And often it's a good move for him. It's kind of this thing that was just kind of sitting there, and anybody could theoretically try and copyright it or gain rights to it. But it's an uphill battle, and I would really like to see him crash and burn. But if he also turns out to be the creator, and a lot of people are saying, well, if you're the creator, why don't you move the million Bitcoins that you have that were initially mined in the first place, that haven't moved in the past 10 years? And he just won't do it. Comes up with all sorts of different reasons why he doesn't think he could do it, but he also says he's going to crash the Bitcoin market. And he also has his own version of Bitcoin called the Bitcoin SV. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. All these people just seem... it's like, whatever, man.
Yeah, yep. People still give him panel to speak to, and I don't know why. He's such a gigantic butthole, and even if he is the creator, it's like we don't really need him. This is the last one. Yep. Sorry.
If you made it, then why the fuck did you let it out into the wild before doing anything? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How you gonna try and come back now and be like, oh, now that it's worth a shit ton of money, it's mine? Like, nah, fuck you, man. You fucked up. even if it's true, you still fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, you should have been smarter about that shit from the get go.
Yeah.
You clearly thought it wasn't worth anything. If you throw it out into the market, out in the world, the way you did, without patenting it, without putting your name on it, without doing any of these things, then you clearly didn't think it was worth anything. That's the only reason I could come up with.
Well, he I think that's why he's created this new coin called Bitcoin Satoshi Vision or whatever. He feels is more in alignment with his original vision.
Yeah.
I don't know. And well, the other thing is that other developers picked it up and started working on it outside of him. So I don't know. But we were talking about decentralized finance a little bit in a couple episodes back. A few people were taking advantage of some arbitrage opportunities. So what they were doing here, and so they made like 900K in seconds doing this. So they basically will take a flash loan of like a bunch of ETH and use it as collateral to increase their leverage, and then hold short or long positions. And then they go to like exchanges that don't have much liquidity or activity or much volume, and pump up the price, to whatever benefits their long or short position, and then close it out. And then they'll use the profits to pay back the loan. And I mean, it's smart. You can't do that in any other market, and I don't really blame them for it. I don't really think it was like a hack or a hacker thing, as this article explains it. It makes it out to be. It's really just, the lack of volume on some of these markets. Yeah. So you could turn around and do some arbitrage. Yeah.
Well, this is. I I mean, if you're gonna trade this, this needs to be regulated. I don't think that it's okay. Like, don't. If you're going to allow this to happen in the market, I mean, you need to put something in place, or I don't know. I don't think that this is the way it should be going down. I don't know much about it, but you can't do this kind of shit in the stock market. You can't do this kind of shit with options. You can't do these kinds of things.
You can. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Like you can, there's margin trading, there's futures trading, so you can do long and short positions, and you can also take out an additional loan. The thing is with decentralized finance is that you have more access to these loans, and it's quicker. There's just less opportunity in the regular market because there's not as much there's not as many assets that you can just like pump random. I mean, there's penny stocks, you can do it with, but
isn't it illegal?
It is illegal. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
All right.
This should be illegal.
I don't know. After somebody who's traded in the crypto market for a long time, the same thing happens in regular markets, except the people who are pumping are institutions and not regular people. And it's kind of illegal, and kind of not illegal, as long as you're not doing like wash trades and using certain types of strategies. But if you're just buying up a whole bunch of assets and then months later, so you pump the price to where it gets to a place where the traders really, really like it, and then you own enough stake, you can turn around and just short the damn thing while you do your sell-off. It's just that most people don't have enough leverage or money to do strategies like that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to comment in more depth.
Well, like if I buy like 1,000 of X shares, right, and then I also have enough money to buy contracts to short it, right, and 1,000 of those shares at like 14,000 a pop, right? That's like an astronomical amount of money for me, right? And I will definitely affect the price. It will pump no matter what, right? And retailers will buy in, other mom and pop hedge funds will buy in, a lot of other people will buy in, and then I turn around and I start selling my shit. Before I start selling my shit, I open that short position, and then I make money both ways. It's the same shit.
Yeah, I just don't like it. I mean, this is a big problem I have.
Look, I mean, for somebody who traded cryptocurrency for like the longest time, like, listen, not everybody has to be a trader. The smartest thing you can do is like buy an asset like the S&P 500 and just sit on it.
I think we need to get away from these ideas of leveraging financial markets strictly for speculation. The financial markets are supposed to exist to serve the broader markets, not just make traders money.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta tell you, like, if I couldn't trade, I would be out of my apartment a lot sooner. I'm
not saying that there's no value to speculating. I'm saying that it shouldn't be such a driving factor behind financial markets. I mean, the stock market is meant to exist to increase liquidity options and cash flow options for companies. The venture capital markets are supposed to exist in order to fund, aggressive, innovative ideas. And, futures markets exist in order to, protect certain industries and production activities. So when you start removing those layers more and more and more with derivatives, you get into a weird situation. Now, we're talking about something that's very, very exotic when you talk about Bitcoin. Whether or not there's value is questionable. But in any of these markets, whether it be forex, currencies, futures, commodities, venture, equities, debt. I think the more when you start introducing layers of derivation and creating, what you're doing is creating additional opportunities that are strictly based on speculation. They're not. There's an argument that it's driving additional liquidity in these markets, but I don't believe that argument is accurate. I believe that it's bullshit, and that really it's meant to create opportunities for certain people, certain amounts of wealth, certain institutional investors to generate greater returns for themselves, and there's no real benefit to society.
Yeah,
and this is an example of it.
It's all a scam, man.
It's for sure.
What they do in Wall Street are all a scam, man. And the concept of derivatives in today, like futures, don't make sense to me. I understand that it can be argued that they're used as like a projection tool, but they're not. People use them to make money, and
exactly.
it used to be an actual tool for farming and for old industries, and now it no longer makes sense.
Hedge your crops, basically.
Right,
That's
exactly.
Why it was,
now it no longer makes sense. But nobody's sitting there saying hey, we need to remove these instruments. They're saying, how do we offer this to everybody else? And
exactly. They're trying to grow it more.
Yeah. And it's just, listen, I used to go to my econ class, man. I'm going to tell you a story. I used to go to econ class, and I get out of there, and I realize that it's just all kind of a zero-sum game. And somebody has to lose on the other end.
Right.
When you look at the concept of being in equilibrium for the micro and macro economy, so you need a certain percentage of people that are unemployed, which implies that there's a certain amount of people at the top, and then there's the majority in the middle somewhere, and that's just the reality of what we know our market to be today. And that got me so depressed that I used to come out of econ class, drink myself to oblivion, fall asleep in a park, and wake up with throw up on my face. And I did this for a long time. And then one day I woke up and I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to be a part of it because I can make money out of it. And that's what I've been doing. And now it doesn't bother me anymore. So maybe I've just turned into a terrible person. Thanks, Lux, for bringing this all up. So now, now I stopped seeing my therapist. So now I'm just gonna die. And you know how I'm gonna do it? I'm gonna go into a Star Trek transporter. These things. Apparently,
that was a solid transition.
The way that they are designed is that they disassemble your body and beam you in light and reassemble your shit. someplace else. And there's a theory that it just reassembles a copy of you, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there's a few episodes to kind of prove that, right? Theory. Which means that every time you've seen somebody transport in Star Trek, they die. And an exact copy of them is made someplace else.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be down for that. I might be down for it. I don't know. It like really tears into the fabric of philosophy and the soul and all that crap.
This is super esoteric, but I mean, you're getting into concept of what makes a person a person. So what makes you you? If we could clone you, is that you?
Yeah.
Or are you you?
My you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the same thing of like uploading a consciousness into a computer somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, we're going to reach that point of technology if we don't kill ourselves first. And
there's just no way to know if you actually cease to exist, like you as you.
It's hard. It's hard to wrap your head around it, but I mean, if it works, quote unquote, seamlessly, for lack of a better term, then who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Those questions to other people.
I know, but there's like no way to actually. There's no way to actually prove that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I like, let's take the Star Trek transportation thing, right? If I disassemble myself on one end, right? And then I get reassembled someplace, a copy of me is reassembled someplace else with all the same memories and all of that stuff. I don't think that's me anymore because the nerves that I just destroyed are gone, right? So my dick in point A is not the same dick in point B.
It is. It's reassembled with all the same, like if you damage your nerve endings or something like that, like if you have an injury, it'll be reassembled in the exact same way. So it's an exact physical copy. It's not it's fresh. It's not like it's fresh matter.
Right. But how? Like, there is literally no way I can think of to prove that you are the same person on the other end. Like, I mean, you are the same person on the other end, but not an exact copy. Like you.
There's no way to prove. There's no way to prove you're not the same person on the other end. Same thing goes the other direction. It's an unanswerable question.
Whoa! I didn't think about it the other way. That's like percentages being like the same backwards. Like 8% of 25 is the same as 25% of 8.
It's the nature of being, which I forget the epistemology. No, I think that's knowledge. Epistemology is the theory of knowledge. What is it? The theory of being is, I guess, existential metaphysics. I'm just trying to think of the name of the terminology that they use for it. But to pivot away before we talk about Tesla,
before we talk about Tesla, we need to talk about who, our mutual friend who just got a MAGA hat.
I just saw that too. Yeah.
I'm so excited for it. Let me tell you why. Because it's the bet. Did you see the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where he wears a MAGA hat to like fiend off people?
Yes.
It's genius. Fucking genius. Fucking genius. Oh my god. Okay. I want a MAGA hat just to fiend off people. That's great.
Yeah. No, but so, I mean, to go back to the transport thing, like what makes a person a person?
Yeah.
Just to tap on this a little bit more, like, so I studied anthropology and archaeology in huge. And one of the interesting things that they talked about is the evolution of human beings. And so what makes us human? The concept of being a human. What makes us human compared to, say, the evolutionary version that came right before us? It's not like it was one day we were monkeys and the next day we were human beings. There was tons of versions of human beings between monkeys and us. Neanderthals, for instance, are probably the most popular, widely known version.
Right.
But what is the difference between a Homo sapien and a Neanderthal? Such that a Homo sapien is considered a human being.
One's gay and one's not.
And a Neanderthal is not. I mean, it's an interesting concept. We coexisted with Neanderthals. In fact, most of us have some degree of Neanderthal genetics in us.
Sure.
So we were breeding with Neanderthals.
Yeah.
So what makes us, I mean, in the same way that am I the same person on the other side of the transport, is a similar question to, is a Homo sapien a person and a Neanderthal not a person? And if so, what is it that makes a person a person? So
I'll tell you right now, redheads have no soul, so they're not actual people. And
right.
That's about it.
Sure.
That's about it.
Right. Well,
Keep
I mean,
simple.
I think, yeah.
Nah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. It's kind of like the bicycle thing, right? Well, it's not exactly like the bicycle thing because you're actually replacing physical parts. You probably heard it. If you like buy a bicycle from somebody, like I buy a bicycle at Walmart or whatever, and I sell it to some dude on Craigslist who replaced the seat, and then he sells it to somebody who replaces the body, and then so on and so forth, where the whole bike is like replaced eventually. Is it still the same bike that was sold to me that I bought from Walmart? It's a little bit different because you're actually replacing like physical parts. I don't know. But,
yeah. They're interesting questions. I could talk about that stuff all day.
Yeah. No, it's great stuff. We're going to talk about Tesla?
Yeah.
Tesla Model Y returns a stellar range rating. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, they stepped it up. What did this article say? I just think it's generally... this article was focused on the fact that it's increased its range in this new model.
Guys,
so,
don't buy a Tesla because you want to save the environment. Buy a Tesla because it's just a damn decent car.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that if we start finding out in a few years that we have problems disposing of battery or something like that, and that it's actually pretty sketchy, hazardous waste.
I mean, it's been talked about for a long time, ever since the inception of Tesla.
Yeah, I know that was a big problem with the Prius.
Yeah, they were talking about that with the Prius.
Yeah. So I don't know about environment stuff, but I mean, I think this is like a huge electric vehicles in general is the range.
Yeah.
I think that it's more likely that we get to a point where we have autonomous vehicles and we start shifting away from individually driven cars to autonomously driven cars.
Yeah.
Before we ever get to a point where the car's range is such that it's adoptable at scale. Like,
well, I don't know why you need this much. Why we even need this much range? It's like
100%. What are you talking about, dude? You can't even go from San Francisco to LA on 315 miles.
How often are you going from San Francisco to LA?
It doesn't matter. I'm not going to spend $30,000 on a car that is basically locked to within a certain radius.
You I mean, okay. I mean that's fine. I just think it's like the majority of people don't really even need it.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant, though. That's irrelevant. The majority of people don't need shoes.
You can charge your Tesla, no problem. Takes a half hour to get it like at 50%, I think. Watch a movie in the car. Sounds like a damn nice time to take a fucking break and eat some food.
It's not comparable whatsoever to gas cars. Not even close. Not even close. I mean, there's no comparison. There's no comparison whatsoever. And I think that the majority of people, I think you're insulated in your views of this. But I think that the majority of people do not feel strongly about electric vehicles. They do not like electric vehicles as an option for a couple of reasons. One is price. Two is it's weird to them, which is, one. And three is range. I think range is a huge problem for most people. Not because you're using it every single day. That's irrelevant. It's that when I want to drive to Tahoe on the weekend, I don't want to have to fuck around with where I'm going to stop for an hour to charge my car.
How many miles is it to Tahoe from where you are?
I don't know, but the point is I don't have to think about it in my gas car. I have to stop and think about it and figure it out.
I feel like I would stop anyways to get food. I feel like it's less of a practical issue. I understand that people probably have this like aversion to electric vehicles, and also the requirement to have a vehicle that they can instantly kind of fill up. China's been doing swappable batteries for a while. Technology is out there to do it.
Yes, I didn't know that was even a thing.
It's been a thing for a while, and I think the reason they don't do it is because it's just like it's almost like buying a flagship phone with a headphone jack, without a headphone jack. Like you don't need a headphone jack on a phone. People feel like they need it, and have been in uproar for years because flagship phones got rid of the headphone jack. Yeah. The average commute, the average American commute is 26 minutes. That can't be more than 300 miles, man.
Yeah, but we're not talking about a commute. We're talking about...
You're talking about vacation cars and stuff like that, right?
I'm just talking about a general car. The practicalities are irrelevant. The point is that something exists, an alternative option exists that is far more flexible. So it comes down to, do you want to save money on gas? That's really what it comes down to. Just, do you want to save money on gas? And, that's really all it's about. On top of, Tesla happens to be, Tesla specifically, not all electric vehicles, but Tesla specifically happens to be a high-performance sports vehicle. But if you just talk about electric vehicles in general, you're not... There is no argument. The only argument is you save money on gas. That's it. Fuel. That's it. There's no other argument.
Argument for what?
Electric vehicles right now.
What do you mean, like an argument?
An argument that it is a benefit to a consumer.
You save money on gas. You don't have to spend as much on maintenance because it's not a combustible engine.
That's somewhat true, yes, but there's got to be some maintenance to a certain degree. I mean, we talked about this
and
recently.
For most of all of your uses, it's going to be a decent travel car.
There's still brakes, there's still tires, there's still axles, there's still mechanical pieces involved in an electric vehicle, and and even the electrical components can still have issues that need servicing or to be replaced or repaired.
Well, I know that Tesla in particular hasn't been great about their QA. So you've got like Tesla models who are leaking like water when it rains into the cabin and stuff like that, and it's getting into some of the electronic parts, especially the older Model S's.
Ooh,
it is bad. what is going on? The consumers aren't expecting zero servicing. NC's coming at it.
I know that they're not expecting zero servicing, of course not. But he was making the argument, Twashi was making the argument that you're saving money on maintenance compared to a combustion engine vehicle. And I'm saying
you're making the argument that like there's no other reason, there's no like advantage to getting an electric vehicle unless you're just trying to save money on gas.
Right. That's essentially my argument. There might be some savings. So average maintenance cost for a Tesla S over 5 years was around $2,800. Well, supposedly they're saying at most $2,800. So let's say average cost of maintenance for a Honda Civic. Annual maintenance for a Honda Civic is $368, so significantly less.
Huh. Yeah.
So let's say a comparable vehicle. Average cost of maintenance for a BMW. Between two filters and inspection experience has shown that a minor servicing
probably $4 or $5 a gallon.
Cost of annual maintenance. I can't get annual maintenance for BMW, but they're saying about $500 a visit. Let's say you go 4 times a year. That's $2,000 a year. So BMW is significantly more expensive, for sure. But
yeah, so are Mercedes, and German, European engineered cars where you have to like remove the radiator to get into the engine, like remove each part one by one to get into the.
Yeah, they're notoriously high priced for maintenance. Annual cost of maintenance for a Highline Japanese vehicle like an G37 is $540 a year. So over 5 years, it's roughly the same as the cost of Tesla. So
yeah, and see, he did bump it up to a BMW.
Yeah, I was.
But you do need like an economy style electric vehicle. I think Honda's about to come out with that like stellar looking.
There's no doubt that you're
Honda
going to save
electric vehicle.
In this article right there, it's in the headline. It's 121 miles per gallon equivalent.
Yeah. So
there's no doubt that is the case. That you're going to save money on gas but it's what I'm saying is that is essentially the only benefit outside of superficial certain aspects. When the potential savings are significant. Well, that's the argument that I'm making. I'm saying that the limitations. So NC's saying that he doesn't understand the argument that I'm making, or he's saying that my argument's not well supported. Potential savings are significant. Well, I'm making the argument that potential savings, the significance of those potential savings, are outweighed by the limitations of electric vehicles. One of the primary limitation being the range of the vehicle. You can solve that problem in a number of ways. This article talks about increasing the range, which is one. Twashi was talking about replacing the battery. You could just increase infrastructure in general, increase the vehicle's ability to, the charge rate ability of the vehicle.
So NIO has
as it stands right now, I don't think that these are as beneficial as hype would have you believe.
So NIO is a Chinese car manufacturer, and this is their swappable battery concept. They do have a functional one, and they've been doing swappable batteries 10 years ago. It's something that I looked into and was kind of like wondering about. The other thing is Teslas are actually their battery pack on the bottom of the vehicle is swappable. They engineered it that way. They just never rolled out the infrastructure for that. But those platforms on the bottom of Teslas are swappable.
Yeah,
all the
that's
models.
an interesting idea. That's
All
a
the
really
models.
interesting idea. If you could drive in station and have your battery swapped out for a fresh one, and then keep going. That's a 10-minute operation, maybe less.
That might be cool, you know. I just feel like it's more or less an edge case. Like, you know, I think
an edge case. How do you figure that's an edge case?
Because you're talking about a range greater than 300 miles, and you know, using your vehicle to like travel for like, you know, weekend getaways when the majority of your driving is to and from work. And so I think addressing your regular commute is a priority over addressing the need to go beyond 300 miles.
Yeah, but if you're buying an electric vehicle, whether it's Tesla or another electric vehicle, you're not limited to the priority choices. The mere fact that you can purchase one of these vehicles means you have the option to consider, privileges. That's a financial fact. That's a financial fact. So,
even if you get the Model 3.
100%, dude. It's a $30,000 car. If you can afford a $30,000 car, you can afford another $30,000. So you're making a choice, is what I'm saying. You're not limited to a $500 car.
How much does a Toyota Camry cost?
I don't see how that has anything to do with what I'm saying.
Because the Toyota Camry was at least the most popular car for the middle class for a long time. And that cost about $30,000. So I mean, I think in the marketplace it's reasonably priced. It's positioned properly. I don't think that's a privilege. It's more you're tailoring to the average consumer.
A new Toyota Camry is a privilege as well. That's not, you can't dispute that.
And the other thing is that buying a Tesla doesn't depreciate in value as quickly. It makes more sense to buy a brand new Tesla as opposed to getting a new one. And any other car, you can't do that. You can't say that. Because
that is true.
Your resale value of the car when you throw it back up on the market is equal to or greater than.
So that can't be true yet, but it is an argument that is possible. And I heard Elon Musk on a podcast recently make this argument himself, that Tesla is the only vehicle out there that is an appreciating asset. That's certainly not the case yet, but it's certainly a possibility. But we're not there yet. That's what I'm saying, is that a car is more than just your ability to get to and from work. It's more than just dollars and cents of maintenance costs and values and da-da-da and all this shit. It's about your ability to live life. If that's all a car was about, we'd all be driving the cheapest, most economical vehicle possible. But that's not what we drive. You go out on the road in places like San Francisco, the Bay Area in general specifically, and you see all kinds of Highline cars all over the fucking place. People spend cars. It's a statement. It's a lifestyle. And what I'm saying is that Tesla does a good job of that. It's also a statement. It's also a lifestyle because it's a luxury vehicle. But when you start talking about it in terms of flexibility, freedom, options, you start limiting that vehicle's ability in comparison to other options. And so unless you are seeking to make the specific statement that Tesla makes, you're going to opt for another option. And I think that that's the case, broadly speaking, all around the world, not just in the US, but pretty much every country out there. No one is widely adopting these vehicles yet. I mean, this electric vehicle.
The Model 3 was like the most popular vehicle, mid-class vehicle sold all last year. It surpassed the Camry.
What does popular mean?
I'm saying they sold the most by volume.
They sold more Model 3s than all internal combustion engine vehicles.
Not all,
No.
I guess,
No.
but by model, yeah.
And I'm not even talking about Model 3s. I'm talking about electric vehicles. You compare electric vehicles to internal combustion engine vehicles. There's no comparison in market cap.
I'm gonna look it up.
Global electric vehicle market is 40 billion, 39.8. So
I'm gonna look it up.
Global auto market.
I want to cover this really quick before we should probably end the stream soon. But MGM Resorts had a data breach, hit millions of its guests. I stayed at the MGM last year for a bachelor party. They have some pretty prominent figures too. Personal details of Justin Bieber and Jack Dorsey from Twitter. I think there's some information about what they actually have. I forgot. Nope. By the way, have you ever been to Have I Been Pwned? Have you heard of this website? So, if you enter your email address, if you enter your email address, you can tell if it's been compromised. If you haven't checked this out, it's a pretty interesting tool. Most of, if not all, my emails have been compromised. But yeah, if you stayed at the MGM Resort, I mean, this is the problem with having some of these personal details off of a blockchain, is that it's just complete. People can come in there and read all your records. Say full names, street addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth, and that's a lot of pieces of information that could be resolved by enhancing security and fragmenting the information. So if you stayed there, please do your due diligence. I think that's it, man. You in it with NC right now? Huh?
Sorry, yeah, me and NC are going at it. No, this is fun. I hope NC knows that we debate in good faith and have fun with it.
Yeah, man, that's what it's all about. It's okay to disagree. I know me and Lex don't agree on quite a few things, but he's one of my really, really good friends, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it makes it more fun when you disagree.
Makes it more fun, and also I'm a firm believer in fostering that culture. It's completely okay. It does not mean anything.
Yeah. But I think NC gets it. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I see what he's saying. He's saying that my economic argument wasn't very effective. I could see that. I guess when I was coming at it from the economical standpoint, I was trying to I think that gets focused on so much.
So you're saying, all right. So I think I understand is that there's this emotional feature set that people are attached to, and it's being underserved currently. And if you're making that argument, it's a strong one, because you can see a lot of emotional features and requirements in a lot of different products that people like the headphone jack, just, you know, but Tesla, I think, has one thing to kind of combat that, and they have developed a cult following around their products. People have become emotionally attached to their products and the brand.
100%. That is absolutely true.
Aside from, you know, just like the economics of it all.
Right. That is absolutely true. But I think that's a separate sort of conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 100% on board with Tesla as an idea. I would never buy one of their cars personally, and I think a lot of people feel that way. I think a lot of people are sitting back and waiting, and going, "It's not quite there yet." But
yeah, those are the. I mean, if you're trying to start a company of any sort, right? You want to gather the early adopters, the innovators, and the early adopters, and you want to cross the chasm into the early majority, and then the late majority, and then the laggers. And I think maybe possibly what you're talking about is the late majority. I think we've crossed the chasm to where, like, you know, we're capturing the early majority group. And I think the people, the definition of late majority are the people who kind of wait and kind of like see what's going on, and the laggers are like old people that are kind of like forced to change.
I would disagree with people comment, but
with what?
Yeah, I don't think that it's old people. I mean, I'm not an old person, and I wouldn't buy a Tesla.
No, but you're probably the late majority.
Yeah, and I think
that's totally fine. But I do think that they've crossed the chasm into early majority.
I don't think so. I don't think it's there yet. I think maybe hybrids are there, but pure electric vehicles. Yeah, I get the concept. It's I guess we're conservative. I guess we're close. I would say we're close.
I mean, if we hadn't crossed the chasm by now, we would be out of business.
You think so?
Absolutely. Like, let's you know, Nio
you also have to define your market too. Like, that's another thing. Like, you have to define your market. So, I mean, if you're talking about the U.S., maybe, but I would challenge that as well.
So you think that everybody's that's buying these cars right now are early adopters?
Primarily, yes. I mean, the U.S. auto market, it's like, I mean, there's roughly 300 million people, 330 million people in the U.S. There's likely more cars than that. I don't know if we lost NC, by the way, but NC, I enjoy back and forth there, man. But I think that if you have 330 million people in the U.S., I think you have more cars than there are people in the U.S. likely. And there's no way that 25% of those vehicles are electric vehicles.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, okay, so there's this. Where there was a graph here with like the percentages of people.
Welcome back, NC. No, we're still talking about it.
Yeah, no, we're still talking about it. We should probably wrap it up anyways.
Yeah.
This was a really good show, man. I think an hour and a half is probably going to be what we're going to go for going forward, because we got rid of Tuesdays. Do feel like it went a bit long. One last bit. Russia decides to outlaw crypto as a means of payment. I feel like they already did this already, though. So, all right, let's shut it down. Thank you so much, Lux. I guess Jet was still at the wake, couldn't make it. Thank you, NC, for popping in, man. If we didn't go an hour and a half, we probably wouldn't have seen NC. And then thanks, Jake, for popping in too.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. Thanks, NC. Enjoyed the chat. Thanks, everybody.
I want Elon to make a motorcycle. Anyways, all right.
Yeah.
Peace out, guys. Have a good night.